Hello and welcome back to my interdisciplinary art studio. I made an heirloom mini quilt as a wedding gift for my sister-in-law and her now wife. Here I will share my entire design process, quilting techniques I've developed over the years, and some new lessons I learned along the way. Let's get cozy in my self-made tiny house art studio.
Morning.
I wanted this to serve as an heirloom piece to embody the coming together of two families into one home, as well as a celebration of the wedding itself. I wanted to design a house symbol to embody home. As for my color choices, I looked to the bride's preferences.
That's the thing with making gifts, is you need to be mindful of, okay, yes, this is something I want to be doing and this is something that I'm making because I want to, but it's also like, you want to be mindful of who they are and what they love. So they love neutrals, like burnt sienna, browns, and like earthy colors.
They're also pretty sophisticated ladies, so I figured they would love something really traditional, clean, and understated. And so I looked into some of my quilting books for inspiration to learn some new techniques.
One of them was wedding ring, and I thought that would be so perfect because this is their marriage quilt. Basically, I'm gonna start drawing out what I'm thinking of doing. So right now, everything is kind of in different scales. Like I've drawn some of this, I've drawn this, like they're all kind of all over the place. What I'm gonna do is, using some grid paper, I'm gonna just draw the patterns. I just wanna draw them all at the same scale. I'll end up choosing what I want my sized kind of like square to be. Pull together some traditional designs as well as some designs that I'm making up myself. And then the overall composition will just be what I'm excited about. I thrifted this a while ago. It's a really soft cotton. I have a lot of this like pale green color.
I was also able to use a lot of my pre-cut scraps, and everything I used was scraps of previously made projects, my Hobbit vest, an old pillowcase, and naturally dyed scraps as well.
I'm so excited to be able to be in the Maker's Nook and work on some sewing. So I've got my sketch, and then I was like, all right, I want to just test out how to make just the house. I decided to just grab some scraps and put together a little quilt block. So we're gonna test this out.
Lesson number 1, when you're creating a specific image within a quilt, you need to compensate for the seam allowance. Let's have a little chat about HSTs. So if this is your image that you want to create, you have a triangle and another triangle together at 2 different colors. Your desired size, let's say it's 3 inches. So you're gonna need to actually cut 2 different pieces of fabric at 1 inch larger than your desired size. So my example is 3 inches because that's what I did for my quilt. So that'll be 4 inches. Even I can do that math. You put those 2 pieces of differently colored fabric together, and then you're gonna create a 1/2 inch gap in between so that you have a perfect center to cut through in the end. So you're gonna do 2 rows of stitching at that 1/2 inch distance. They have special rulers so that it makes it really easy. So see that line in the center? That's where you're gonna actually cut it. So in the end, you're gonna have 2 different triangles. Oh, there we go, very pink. You're gonna be able to put these 2 pieces together, stitch it, and then they're gonna end up being 3 inches. I did not know this in the beginning of this video, so you'll see me make lots of mistakes, but I do figure it out and learn so much from the process, and I think it's well worth the effort to be able to literally look at any image that I want and then create it from the shapes.
So I wanted to add some dimension to the chimney, so I ended up unpicking and adding just a little bit of this. And making the door shorter, which I'm really happy with, then makes everything else look kind of weird. That'll be a good opportunity to try something new. So I figured out the measurements to make a comparable triangle for the size square that I made. I want, when the triangles are put together, to equal this square. Woohoo! I'm really happy with it. I think it's so cute. Cute. Aw. Hello, good morning. I'm gonna cut a bunch of the avocado dyed linen, and then I need to like officially pick the other colors that I'm doing.
I find it helpful to have separate days for cutting the scraps than the days that I'm sewing. So I spent this day cutting as many squares as I needed. So by having that grid paper, I was able to just count how many squares I exactly needed. And this is a great way if you want to design it yourself and you want to go rogue and not go by a pattern, which I had zero interest of doing. This was how I was able to achieve this technique, by drawing on the graph paper and cutting all the pieces myself. My next tip, make half square triangles. Do not cut out the triangle shape and then put it together. It's going to reduce the size a ton. And this was a lesson I had to learn the hard way, but I don't want you to have to make the same mistake. Let's get back to where I feel confident. In color decisions, as a painter, I wanted to have that contrast, the complementary color of the pink and the green for this quilt. You poor deluded sunflower. Why did you not just look it up? HHSTs would have saved you. But it's okay. It all turns out.
I'm gonna go sew these and then make this another row.
Group tasks together. So chain stitching is a technique where you continuously sew pinned fabric pairs together. So then you can press them all at the same time. You can extend them into lines and bring them together into your design with a lot more ease. Then you're at the pressing station and then all at once kind of things come together.
Hello, good morning to you. I've got, so the other day I went thrifting with my friend Carla and we found this basket, and then we also found this and it fits perfectly. So I made this my little project basket for my quilts. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks lovely. The pink and the green together looks so beautiful.
As a full-time painter, I see everything I do as painting, and creating a composition with the color story was what is most exciting to me. So I started making some modifications to figure out what I wanted to do.
Oh, no, that's the opposite. Other it looks like. Okay, I feel like that would be cool, but I do tend to make things like way more complicated than they need to be. Cool. Where's my square? Pretty good.
The way I like to go about this is essentially making rows of those triangles and then connecting those rows together. When you bring that all together, you are slowly making a bigger piece.
I did it! We've got a modified broken dishes pattern, which I think is lovely because it really symbolizes there's always going to be days that feel hard, and I think having like the broken dishes as a symbol of that you can make something beautiful out of a hard experience. That was my reasoning behind putting that into their quilt. We have officially got, unless I completely go rogue, okay, we've got the house, then we've got ring or the crown of thorns, number 1. Number 2, the unexpected broken dishes. Hello, good morning. All right, so I've got all the pieces. I want to lay it all down and see how I'm gonna arrange everything. All right, so this is option 1. All right, I didn't do the whole thing because that hurts my back to be on the ground. What I'm thinking, it makes everybody else look pretty good, but then it makes this look like really washed out in a way that I don't really like. Ooh, what I could do.
You'll have to wait and see. Let's start making some piles to create the outside border.
Strips, all green for the border. So I've got 4 of this green, 2 of this naturally dyed green. That is from onion skins, and then these 2. Vary them, and then I'll be able to put them together in the design that I want. sew these. I'm gonna just add the row of 5 up top, and then once that becomes 6 this way, then I will add this to the end. I'll sew it here. Woohoo, it's looking good. Bottles. Woo! This girl looks good. All right. Woohoo! Wow. I am very happy and genuinely proud of myself. I think the decisions we made to adjust and change things were very necessary, and I'm really happy that it's a square. I feel like it's really cool. And it's surprisingly big. Like, I feel like they could like have it like on the side of a couch or something and have it be cool. They could also hang it like this. Next step, hello. I'm gonna take this down. I've been pressing more fabric because the rest of the sheet, it's so soft. I feel like this will be a great back for this in case they do use it as like a mini quilt that they interact with in that way. There's never enough room. Scooch over. I'm getting warm. I've got it on the floor. Even if it's like almost too big for the floor. So we're making a quilt sandwich. Very tasty. So I'm just laying this down and I'm leaving a little bit of an edge. So I'm just gonna cut this and then I'm gonna do the same thing with this guy.
When cutting out your batting, so this was just kind of a rough cut, but I wanted to make sure to leave extra room so when I pinned it, it would be the right size.
Hi, good morning. So since last we spoke, I put our little quilt top, sandwiched it. How I did this was I just laid everything down nice and flat and then temporary spray adhesive. I was able to do it right here next to the window, so that's nice. Bring that down, making sure things are super, super flat. This is where I'm being like really precise and just like this will be setting you up for the rest of your project. And then I like to just add quilting pins. They're a little bit more special than your regular pin because they have a little curve to them. So this just makes it easier to like go in and through the layers. Just reach under. Stab through. And do that. And got this. And then the back. It's just plain. Big thing of double fold bias tape. I got 3 spools of my kind of like ivory colored thread. I went ahead and prepped 4. I do not have a quilting machine. I don't have like a long arm. I don't have that plate that goes out and makes it bigger and longer and stuff. But as it stands, this is quite small, so we're gonna be fine. I'm gonna start quilting. So what I'm gonna do is kind of like roll it so then I can get to it as easily as I can. Tasty little cotton burrito. I'm gonna go in the center of this piece as best I can. I try to keep the pins, like if you're doing a square, I keep it as center as I can. So when you're sewing, the presser foot doesn't like flick this. So if and when you made any sort of like misalignments, so there's like, you know, everything's great, and then things are veered a little bit here. So what I do if and when I make mistakes, which obviously ends up happening, I just like do a subtle grade. So like you can see I started it here. So it like goes out a little slightly past this rather than going straight. And then when I get to here being like, oh, fuck, like what am I gonna do? I just go there and then it transitions and then I get to here and then I can keep going straight. I think I'm done with the quilting part. Let's check it out. The way that I like to check because usually the back is like less crazy unless I do both sides. When I do garments, often I do a liner as like patchwork as well, but in this case, it's much simpler in the back. This is how I kind of check things. Beep, 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 beep. Basically, I'm looking that I can see a square in every spot. So because when you're quilting, you do not backstitch, every single one of these ends is basically just loose threads from the back to the front. And obviously we're gonna be putting bias tape over things to lock everything in, but I want my bias tape process to be as easy and seamless as possible. So I like to go around and lock everything in and here, and then stitch. See? Yeah. We're at a very exciting part. I've got my big old guy. And I'm gonna lay this down. Stitch down to here, but then I stopped. I was like, no. So you stop here a little bit close to the edge, like I'm gonna flip this up like this, all the way up. So it creates this like triangle, and then fold this back. Now it'll lay flat. And so this corner, I'll show you how it looks on the other part that I did. Wonder clip it, and then you can keep going until you get to the other corner. So right on top, and then when it folds out, crisp little corner. Well, mine's not perfect, but you know, there are a bajillion videos on YouTube explaining this in a far more detailed manner. Because this isn't a tutorial, this is a project diary, but I still want to give you tips along the way. And if you are, for some reason, actually following this video and making a quilt with it, I don't want to leave you hanging at that part and then be like, but the corners. So I primarily make quilted garments. So when you get to the corner, you do the same thing when you do like bias binding. So I did this all around this jacket. The jacket I wore with my wedding dress. But my dress poof started here. So yeah, I love this jacket.
If you'd like to commission a painting or a quilted, sustainably made, custom dream jacket of your own with a specific length and silhouette and color story, I have all those fun questions to fill out in a free questionnaire on my website.
Bias binding. It always shocks me when people say that they hate this part, and I'm just like, what? This is so satisfying. You get to lock in everything. It looks so clean after. It's like you're finishing it. It's so satisfying. I love this part. This is all sewn up. Now we want to like actually cover this fully. So, and then that'll lay flatter. You can make sure it's nice and crisp and do this all around to fold this like this. And then it'll lock everything in. And then I'm gonna go around on this side and I'm gonna top stitch, catching all of the layers underneath. This is exciting. As it is, this is it for the quilt. That's it. That's all she wrote. Woohoo! Okay, like, you can't not snuggle up with it. It's so cute. Oh my God. Now, this is why I make everything into a jacket, because I'm like, I just want it to be a jacket. Lounge about in it in their newly married state. So the last thing that I'm gonna do is, so I wanna add, I'm gonna draw it out, married on, and then the date of their wedding, M&K, married 11/15/2025, and then I will do some sort of little signature somewhere off to the side that is not important. I feel like that'll be cute. I think placement wise, like near the bottom, I'll just do that embroidery really quick and then do a little photo shoot, do a little reveal. I'm so happy that I put the time and effort in to make this. I learned so much about quilting. I've only done quilted garments. I've made a couple of quilted pieces that I've hung on the wall. They were very experimental and done very improvisationally and not using any traditional sort of design, and I really wanted to challenge myself to be able to look at an image of a bunch of triangles and a bunch of squares and be able to decipher it myself and be able to find a way to sew it together just from looking at an image, and then also coming up with my own image, which I did with the house element. I think it's really fun to be an amateur. I think the best way to think of amateur is the truest form of amateur, which is lover, to love something so much and be so invested in learning it. And that's how I feel about quilting. I am so stricken every time I see a full quilt. They're just like the embodiment of so much time and love and energy, and just an absolute celebration of fibers. There's something about them. They're just so special. If you'd like to see the available fibers work that I have in my shop or my paintings, you can check those out here. I keep a selection of small seasonal works, and then I keep a selection of final pieces that are large scale oil paintings that are always here. I saw it as like a family gift, you know? If you make your first quilt, please share it with me. If you'd like to be part of a growing art community and gain inspiration and have some gentle guidance from me, you can head to my Patreon. I have a free membership, a studio supporter membership, and a fellow maker membership. For free members, you can contribute to polls to decide the videos that you'll see on here on YouTube, as well as see some free goodies along the way.
Here's a little peek at the wedding weekend. We got to go to Boston and we stayed in a very fancy hotel, got beautiful photos in the park, got very, very dressed up. Dan actually helped me do my hair.
Salon.
I can't see the back of my head, so.
Hold still.
Aquí.
I'm gonna get these delicate little locks.
You're doing great.
The brides were very sweet to give me a moment at the rehearsal where I got to give them their quilt, and I think they really like it. Congratulations.
Wow, you're really good at this.
Thank you. So pretty.
Okay, you'll have to show me that.
Okay, I think that's perfect.
Because I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no chill. I was like, really need to get this done, but I just keep making it more complicated. Of course, it's turned into more than I was anticipating, but that's okay. I have zero chill, and there's nothing I can do to change who I am as a person, so I'm just gonna keep going. I just like making things, and I want it to be awesome. How's it going? Hi. Toro. I'll show you what Dan's doing.
Oh my god. Look at this man. Oh my god. Wait, can you turn around for a second? Let me just check something.
Get the hearth. I just think of Guitar Hero.
Ooh, this.